Hey guys, it's Brett. Thanks for dropping by my channel. And if you're returning, thank you for coming back. Today I wanted to talk, and I know this is a little late, but first quarter faves. These would be specifically new books that were released, or I should say that I read, not that they were released, but that I read between January and the end of March. So stick around. All right, so before we start, I just wanted to talk about what I'm currently reading this week. I started this yesterday. There's going to be Trouble by Jen Silverman, which I'm really enjoying. I have to be honest, I started it on audio. I was driving back from the desert, so I was in traffic for almost 2.5 hours and got almost halfway through this thing. And also, it's narrated by Marin Ireland, who I just love so much, and I have talked about her before on this channel. I think she's incredibly talented, and she's doing a bang-up job narrating this book. It's really interesting. Jen Silverman, I think I've already talked about. She has a play that she's just written that's going to be going to Broadway with Patti LuPone and Mia Farrow. This is about two different times in history, two different groups of people and protests. It's very bizarre reading this in light of what's happening all over the world right now, and certainly what's happening in the US on campuses all over the country. It feels so timely. It's kind of crazy, but it's really, really good. Also, Jen will be coming on the Gays Reading podcast next month as part of our Pride Month. So look for that. But I'm really, really, really enjoying this. All right. So 8 books. I picked 8 books that to me were my favorites so far. And I'll do this again at the end of June, which will start to give you a good idea of maybe what can end up on my tops for the year. So the first one is Water by John Boyne. This is, again, the first of 4 Elemental books, novellas. The first one is about a woman who moves to a small island right off the coast of Ireland, escaping from something bad that happened to her, but not directly. It more involved her husband, and kind of starting over. What Boyne does, though, that's so interesting is he introduces a character in each book that then becomes the focal point of the next book, which I actually just finished book 2, which is called Earth, yesterday, and it was good, although not quite as good as this one. It's really a slip of a novel, but it packs a punch. He really is such a incredible craftsman for telling a story. So, yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 is Hard by a Great Forest by Leo Vardiashvili. I loved this book. First of all, it's one of my favorite covers of the year. I think it's so stunning. This is about a young man named Saba who, when he was a child, he fled the former Soviet Republic of Georgia with his older brother and his father, with the understanding that they were going to get their mother out later. Well, their mother ends up dying before she actually gets over, and their father goes back to the country and disappears. So Saba and his brother head back to find their father, and what happens. I absolutely loved this book. I was so utterly engaged by it. There are a host of incredible characters, not the least who's this almost Hagrid type character who gets enlisted by Saba and helps him find not only his father, but his brother as well, who also goes missing. So I just thought it was a really amazing debut. It's fantastic. Third one, Like Happiness by Ursula Villarreal Mora. Ursula came on the Gays Reading podcast as one of our upcoming authors. This is a fantastic debut that really, for me, pushed on so many things that I love. It's about writers. It's about art. It's about a young woman who becomes really enamored with a writer who she thinks is just genius and reaches out and writes a fan letter to him and the relationship that develops out of it. I don't want to say too much more, but it is really smart. The themes that she's tackling in here are so good, not the least of which is who gets to tell whose story, about gender and sexuality, and it's just really, really, really good. It's a really compelling first-person narrative. I thought it was great. So, also from the Gaze Reading podcast, Wandering Stars, Tommy Orange. You can see how I've marked it up. This is both a prequel and a sequel to There There. I liked this more. I thought it was so engaging. First of all, Tommy Orange knows how to construct the most beautiful sentences. The history in this book was actually the stuff that really drew me in, even more than the current day stories. But the whole thing, I mean, I don't know why, but I'd heard from some people that it wasn't as good as There There, and I flipped and loved it. And Tommy is so fantastic, and it's such a great conversation. But so please check that out. But absolutely, Wandering Stars. I'm on this Gaze Reading run because Cinema Love by Jiming Tang, Andy Tang, one of my favorite books this year. First, again, incredible cover. He was another part of our up and coming, just this past month, upcoming. It is such a beautiful story about a group of men in China who meet in a movie theater, gay men, to hook up effectively. The thing is, almost all of them are married. So the book is less, though, about these gay men, and it's more about their wives and what these wives know and who they are. And the book travels from China to New York City following a group of characters. It's beautiful. It's heartbreaking. I can't even believe this is a debut. I'm just shocked. But it's truly I think such a special book. I love him. He's such a delight. I would highly recommend. 3 more left, guys. We're going through very quickly. On the nonfiction front, Get the Picture by Bianca Bosker. I don't know that I ever would have read this again, except for she was a guest on the Gaze Reading podcast. And Bianca is so funny and so smart and so interesting. She's kind of what I'd call a method journalist, where she dives into her subjects fully. Her first book was called Cork Dork, where she went into the world of wine and ended up becoming a sommelier. This one, obviously, is the art world. It is really funny. It's really interesting. She talks a lot about, who gets to decide what is art? Who are the gatekeepers? She works for a gallery. She works for artists. She ends up going into the performance art scene with one sequence that is so utterly outrageous and hilarious. I don't want to give it away, but it's a fantastic book. Not the least of which, then, when you go through it, all of the people she's talking about in here are real, and you can find all of them. I was going through a deep dive on Instagram, looking them all up because they're all really interesting and fascinating people. So I highly recommend. Feeding Ghosts by Tessa Halls. Wow, what an amazing, amazing accomplishment. This is a graphic memoir, which might be quickly becoming one of my favorite mediums. Stunning, stunning, stunning pictures. This is her story, Tessa Hall's, but also her mother and her grandmother. the three of them living together. Her grandmother's escape from Mao's China, her story, which is so incredible, and all about generational trauma, how we rise above it, the relationships that we have with our parents and how fraught those can be, and how to come to terms with it. Just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book, an incredible accomplishment. Again, highly recommend. And the last book, which is, on so many people's lists, and I'm sure you're going to see it everywhere at the end of the year, is James by Percival Everett. This, of course, he would not say it's a retelling of Huckleberry Finn. He would say, as he has said, this is the story of a character getting his due. You don't need to be familiar with Huckleberry Finn to enjoy the book. If you are familiar with it, it does add, obviously, another layer, because there are incidents in this that follow direct in line, obviously, with Twain's original book. But what he does with this and the spins he puts on it is truly, truly, truly a remarkable thing. It is incredible storytelling. To me, this is a instant classic, and I was just kind of blown away by it. So there you go, guys. 8 books, my first quarter faves. Let me know below if any of those are yours as well. I'd be interested to know, or what you absolutely loved, as we're now into our second quarter. So thank you all for stopping by. I hope you're all having a good week, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.